Johannesburg Mayor Geoff Makhubo has passed away after being admitted for COVID-19 to hospital with COVID-19 complications. Makhubo was admitted to hospital on the 3rd of July following a positive test in late June. The 53-year-old was elected mayor in 2019, taking over from Herman Mashaba. He held several roles under the leadership of Pakstow, including serving as the city's member of the Mayoral Committee for Finance. Let's talk more now on the life of Mayor Geoff Makhubo. I've got with me ActionSA leader Herman Mashaba, as well as IFP Gauteng Provincial Chairperson Bonginkosi Dhlamini. Good evening to you both, and thank you so much for your time tonight. I'll begin with you, Bonginkosi. Certainly, this is news that has come as a shock to many.
Oh, yes, good evening to you, and good evening to the leader of ActionSA and to South Africans. Mayor Makhubo has been leading the government of national unity alongside with the IFP and other parties in Johannesburg Metro since December 2019. The Inkatha Freedom Party is saddened by the untimely passing of the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, Geoff Makhubo. The IFP extends its deepest condolences to Mayor Makhubo's family, friends, colleagues, and all his comrades in the ANC. His loss is felt not only by members of his family and his political organization, but by the rest of the citizens of Johannesburg, and Gauteng in particular, and also the local government sector. May his soul rest in peace, and may his contribution to society outlive him. And may we honor him by continuing to observe the protocols and regulations that governs the measures that we are under because of COVID-19. He has been a hero of COVID-19, going out there, making sure that he makes people aware. And unfortunately, he has been taken by the same pandemic.
And Mr. Mashaba, for you, one would have seen you then in the public domain as, you know, people who were on two opposing sides, and you were with the official opposition at the time, and it looked like in the political domain there was no love lost, but certainly tonight it really is not easy to hear about this passing.
Well, absolutely, Bongi. Unfortunately, you know, for a fellow South African passing is not something that anyone can take lightly. The Mayor Makhubo and I were coming from two totally different environments. I never obviously met him. I only had the privilege to meet him during council meeting when we started, because I never met him before. And we were really staunch opponents when I was executive mayor, quite vocal around the collapse of my government. He was the one leading that campaign to collapse my government. But at the same time, I think one had to really respect the role that is really played in the political field. And we, on behalf of ActionSA, would really like to send our deepest condolences to his family, colleagues, friends, and the ANC in general.
And Mr. Dhlamini, when one looks at you know, his contribution, the ANC statement really talks about the role he played in the liberation struggle, the amount of time he spent then working in council. Talk to us about the loss that such a death now presents the council with.
Oh, yes. I mean, we must admit that he was one of the gurus when it comes to local government issues. He was an expert in it. He knew it very well. It's a big loss. That's why I said it's not only a loss for the ANC, it's not a loss for the city, it's also a loss for the local government fraternity. Because if you listen to all the condolences, even people in Salga are saying his contributions were large. Therefore, it's a really big loss in terms of serving our people. Because what must drive us as politicians or as political parties is the service of our people.
And for you, Mr. Mashaba, when one looks at your public engagements, they were not always easy with him. But talk to us about some of the personal moments that you would have then shared with Mr. Makhubo when you came across him in council.
Well, I think when we got to meet each other in council was from day one a very controversial kind of a relationship, very robust discussion, being committed to collapse the government that was running. But I was obviously steadfast on ensuring that we uncover the kind of corruption that we found in the city of Johannesburg. And Mayor Geoff Makhubo was really one of those who was really very vocal in ensuring that our administration collapses, and he was instrumental ultimately in the collapse of the administration, which led to my resignation, because I did not really want to really be associated with the level of corruption and mismanagement that are found in the city of Johannesburg.
And when you look at his contribution from the opposition branches, would you say, looking at him and the life that he then lived, was he then an opponent that you would describe as worthy?
Absolutely not. I think I'll be unfair to myself and the people of Johannesburg and South Africa in general. I think he was a very vocal person, outspoken. But I think in terms of the legacy, we need to really be honest with ourselves. Lots of issues with blatant, obvious evidence of issues that unfortunately leaves a lot to really be desired, driven mainly from the ANC over many years, and he was responsible for taking that process going forward, and he was really committed in ensuring that ANC continues with their malfeasance and all what is really has happened to the city of Johannesburg, where we're sitting with massive 170 billion rands of infrastructure backlog. But however, as a human being, one has to really be sensitive, I think, and respect the fact that COVID is a reality, and it's unfortunate to really lose one of us in this manner.
And for you, Mr. Dhlamini, let's talk about what this time has really now once again led to us as a country to talk about. And this is the, what some people are really decrying as the slow pace of the vaccination process. Others, even on social media, saying that we shouldn't really be finding ourselves in such a situation where we're losing so many people, and really calling for an accelerated approach here when it comes to the issue of vaccines. Certainly, we cannot ignore that particular conversation at a time like this.
We are in a very difficult position, situation as a country. That's one of the reasons why the reasons we advanced when we were in front of Judge Moseneke, or who is reviewing whether elections should sit or not. And as the IFP, we said we chose life over our people. Therefore, the government must make sure that they roll out. At least we can talk about elections if we have vaccinated over 60% of our population. Therefore, that is why we're calling on government to make sure that let's make it accessible. Even allow the private sector to play in that space, so that we vaccinate as many people as we can. If we will lose people of the caliber of the mayor and other prominent leaders in this pandemic, therefore it tells you what is happening in poor communities. So for me, what it means we are really in the middle of the pandemic, and this thing kills, and it is there. And we must really use, with the permission of the family, to use his passing as painful as it is, but as an awareness to say this thing really kills, because we see irresponsible political leaders who are continuing as business as usual, having gatherings and so forth, and we are really in a war that is invisible. And with regards to his legacy, I think my upbringing in politics was driven and informed by Ubuntu. I think there's a platform for that. For now, I think we should really mourn with the family on their loss, because apart from how we viewed him, he was a father, he was a family man, he was a husband. Our political issues, we've discussed them not in the presence of the situation that we are in.
And for you, Mr. Mashaba?
Well, I think I would really agree that this is the time to really sympathize with the family and the ANC. However, let us not really fool ourselves and lie to ourselves that things were normal. Things were very, very far from normal, and even including up to today. We're sitting with massive housing backlog, high unemployment, levels of corruption in the city of Johannesburg. The city of Johannesburg was the epicenter of the Gupta state capture, and those are the things that I don't believe as a human beings that we need to really hide them from society. I think we have responsibility as politicians and public representatives to take society into confidence, and that's something that we should not really compromise about.
All right. Thank you to you both for your time. That is ActionSA leader Herman Mashaba, as well as IFP Gauteng Provincial Chairperson Bonginkosi Dhlamini. Let's take a look now at what some of you are saying about the passing of Mayor Geoff Makhubo on social media.